national champion Ohio State Buckeyes hosting the Texas Longhorns to get the 2025 season rocking and rolling for these two programs. Probably the best two teams in the country going into next year. This is going to be the matchup of the weekend, probably the matchup of all of the earlier parts of the college football season. It is very rare you get to see this type of Titan clash early in the season like this. We get to see Arch Manning, who could be the Heisman Trophy winner. We get to see who could be the best defensive player in college football. Two of them on each side of the ball. So we've got Caleb Downs for Ohio State, and then you've got Malik Muhammad. There's Colin Simmons. There's Anthony Hill Jr., Simmons, Hill Jr., Caleb Downs could all end up being top 10 picks when it's all said and done, and each of those guys get drafted in their respective drafts. This kid right here, a number 4, Jeremiah Smith, has just about everybody saying he'll be the number 1 pick in the 2027 NFL draft. This is the type of matchup that has fans born. If you're not a fan of college football yet, but you hear Ohio State, Texas, this could be fun, you end up becoming an Ohio State fan or a Texas fan for life because of this type of atmosphere. Maybe you're rooting for Texas and they lose, and you're saying, that is the type of team that I like to root for. They are built tough. For Ohio State, they come out there and maybe they're favored and they go out and they win. It's like, wow, I just like the expectation. Then go out, they play at home and win. This will build fans, I guarantee you, for life with this game. Who's had it better than the Texas Longhorns the last couple of years? This program is at the powerhouse tip top of the country going forward now in terms of recruiting from your backyard in Texas, getting the biggest, strongest recruits, having all of that money there in Austin, a terrific school and program. For the Ohio State Buckeyes, it's just a wide receiver factory of creating the best, if not the absolute best players in the country. As, again, we're going to be talking about this kid, and let's talk about it right now. He's going to be going up against a Texas team that only limited him to 1 catch and 3 yards in the semifinal. If you don't think that's in his mind right now going up against it, saying that this was the one team that held me in check last year, that it's just not true, because it is. Ryan Day and Brian Hartline are thinking of ways to get him the ball early and often, get him more than 3 yards the very first play of the game. It's going to be so important to lean on your best player defensively. Ohio State changed everything after that Oregon game because Caleb Downs was not the factor they wanted him to be on defense, so they put him in the middle of the field. If you think about a Derek Brooks, a Brian Urlacher type player, a player with freak athleticism, doesn't miss tackles, is a splash play highlight reel. As a human being, that is what Caleb Downs is. You want to talk about Colin Simmons trying to impact what number 4 can do? He absolutely can. This kid is an absolute force off of the edge. He can come in. Trey Moore as well on that defensive line. These guys can absolutely have an impact and prevent him getting the football, because if it comes to him, it's less accurate. If it comes to him, it's too early or too late. A whole bunch of factors, not even to mention who could be the best player on that defense for Texas. Anthony Hill Jr. is built in a football lab. If you want to go out and create a linebacker, a kid that can get after the passer, I mentioned the name Brian Urlacher. He is a guy in Anthony Hill that has that type of athleticism. Maybe not 6'4", 260 pounds, but he's just as fast, just as athletic, can get after the quarterback, can cover anybody over the middle of the field, whether it be a max player or if it's C.J. Donaldson, Bo Jackson, James Peoples for the Buckeyes running backs. He can cover any of them and roam the middle and not miss a single tackle. He is that talented. Cornell Tate on the other side of number 4 for that Ohio State offense. Very important for him to be established clearly as that number 2. He could be the number 1 on probably every college football team in the country, save about 4 or 5 if he were going anywhere else, and he doesn't want that. He's fine being that guy. He probably ends up being a first-round pick, continuing that wide receiver streak for Ohio State to be 5. So we've talked about a couple of these details. Steve Sarkisian kind of needs this one. Now, you might be saying, week 1, it's non-conference. Well, you got Florida on the road in a couple weeks after this, and they're in Gainesville at the Swamp. Probably a night game. It is a night game. Swamp will be on fire. Maybe even the most electric atmosphere. Even maybe rivaling this one. Then they've got Oklahoma in Red River. There's a possibility Texas could have 2 losses going into Red River. Almost certainly they're going to have 1 at the Buckeyes or at Florida. I've got Florida as the 15th best team in college football next year. They really need this one. They want this one. They're motivated. I don't buy all that much into, oh, this team is so motivated. They're trying to avenge that loss. Of course, everybody is. Ohio State's trying to avenge giving up 14 points. They're the best team in the country. They felt they should have beat Texas by 3 or 4 scores the way they had been playing. And if you remember that first half of the game, the Buckeyes are beating themselves. If you're Texas, you're rebutting that with like, dude, that was a 7-7 game. And then Henderson goes for the screenplay for 75 yards. That changed the entire game. Or at the end of the game there, before that 2nd and goal play from the 1-yard line, you don't do a toss, you run up the middle 3 more times in a row, they probably get in. Even if it's on Tyleik Williams and Ty Hamilton, they probably get in there instead of the toss play. Caleb Downs blows that thing up, Lathan Ransom finishes, and then it puts Texas in a 3rd and long situation, and they don't end up scoring. Jack Sawyer, we know the rest of it for those that are big fans. Now, Arch Manning's legs. This is the key to this game. It's not Jeremiah Smith. It's not Colin Simmons. It's not Anthony Hill Jr. It's not Caleb Downs. It is Arch Manning's legs. Arch Manning is the type of guy where it's built all within him. All the tools are with Arch Manning. And if his legs have a huge type of day to the point where it can threaten, and Caleb Downs has to be a lot more wary of that. We know he's going to be. He knows about the athlete. You can understand he's immediately preparing for that as they start that preparation. The preparation is full-blown for this game. That can be the difference. 4th and 2. Can pick it up with his legs. 3rd and 5, picking up a first down. Picking up 4 or 5 first downs with your legs. 3rd and goal from the 7, scrambling, getting into the 1, and then setting up that touchdown or getting into the end zone. The difference between winning and losing can be all that simple. We saw Arch come in that game in the semifinal and pick up a first down on a 4th and 1 there in the second half. In the second quarter, end of the first half, where they wind up scoring the touchdown, tying the game before the very next play. Ohio State scores on the screenplay to Travion Henderson. The offensive line play, of course, Austin Serveld is there for Ohio State, but they don't have Donovan Jackson, they don't have Seth McLaughlin, they don't have Josh Simmons, Josh Fryer. There's a whole bunch of new faces to protect their starting quarterback. On the defensive side of the ball, there's no Ty Hamilton, there's no Tyleik Williams, both drafted. There's no JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer, all drafted. Both. We just mentioned 8 players that are gone. For Texas, obviously they lose Cam Williams, they lose Kelvin Banks, but they still have Simmons and more. This is, if not the best defensive line in college football, easily within the top 5. For the Buckeyes, Edric Houston, number 96. Obviously has to prove himself. Kenyatta Jackson, number 97. Caden Curry, 92, has a little bit more familiarity. Even had a sack in the Rose Bowl. But a lot of these guys have had reps, but not been starters within that Ohio State Buckeye defense to have a ton of experience. So they've got Davison Igbinosun, penalized a whole bunch last year. Asked that question. He was the most penalized college football player in the country a year ago. In that, we're talking about Arch Manning's legs. It's just a factor that you have to account for, and if he has a bigger impact, like let's say he rushes for over 60 yards in this game, goes for a touchdown, goes for 2, has a bigger threat than even we considered it to be, and is still able to establish that connection with Ryan Wingo. Baxter and Wisner is one of the best tandems in the country. For running backs, easily top 10. When it's all said and done, it could be number 3 or 4 or within the top 5 in college football at the end of the season. It's tremendous. So we're dropping so many names, so many players, because you have to go through all of it. There's a story in each of these guys with all of the matchups going up against Steve Sarkisian versus Ryan Day. Just simply the players trying to go back and forth between each other. When it's all said and done, though, we got to come up with a prediction with who wins this game. As you can tell, I am an Ohio State Buckeye fan. If you've seen any of the content, I do live reaction posts to the Buckeyes, but I try and keep it as impartial as possible. And I got to be honest, I have to tell you, I have a bit more faith in Arch in the quarterback position, more so for Texas to start off the season for this first game, even though Ohio State does have Tate and Claire and Smith to throw the ball to. So I actually have Texas winning this game 24-20. We have the offensive splash plays. We've got running. offense, we have defense, you have everything in this game. 24-20 final score. Texas beats Ohio State on the road. As far as my prediction for next year goes, I have Ohio State losing one game. So for Buckeye fans thinking I'm about to throw in some crazy hot take, no, just they lose the first game against Texas and wind up going 11-1 and appear in the Big Ten champ game. I would take that. I think every Buckeye fan would also take that. For Texas, you absolutely would, but it's like, you got to turn around. This season is not over. You still got at Florida, you got Oklahoma, you got Georgia. Like, this is a very tough schedule for both of these teams going forward. More likely than not, Ohio State's playing two of the top three teams in the country. Can't play yourself, but you're playing Texas and Penn State, two of the top three teams in college football next season, and probably plays another one of them in the college football playoff. So does number 4 wind up in the Heisman conversation after 1 week? If there's any team to limit that type of talk for a little bit longer than 1 week, it will be Texas. With a great secondary, a lot of returning production, a fantastic defensive line to limit quarterback down the field. But there's been just the amount of talk out of Ohio, out of Columbus about this kid getting better, which you can understand. From the age of 18 to 19, you will improve. You're going to get bigger, stronger, faster. You're going to play with a little bit more confidence. In the 19 to 20, it will happen again, continuing to develop. But it is wild that you're taking one of the best players and you're bringing him back a year and another year. So it's one type of X factor. I say arch his legs, but it's like, you put the ball in this kid's vicinity, it's like, you're still almost a little hesitant, but at some point, it's like, wow. I just don't know what you can do to stop it. So thank you so much to everybody for watching, whether you be a Texas fan, an Ohio State fan, just a football fan in general of college or the NFL. I have you know, I do NFL and college content. Do Ohio State a little bit more so, and then the Bears because of the teams that I follow, but just love to talk ball and watch all those games and then talk about it, break it down, preview, predict them, and just have all-around joy and fun covering the sport of football overall. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below in the comments whether you agree, disagree with the prediction. What will the score be? Ohio State, Texas, who winds up with the win? Please subscribe for more content in the future, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.
Best player in college football.
That Georgia and Ohio State game, New Year's Eve, is going to be a classic.
Josh Blunder, hi everybody, I'm Josh Blunder.
To the 40, 35, 30, Espinosa to the 20.